Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So recently I started messing around with my iPhone 6s Plus again, and dude, this thing still wows me. It's impressive about how good of a phone Apple made back in 2015, and there's still a lot of phones. Obviously, this is not the fastest phone on the market. This is not even the fastest phone Apple sells currently in their older flagships. I mean, they're selling the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and all those, but for the price that you're going to pay for an iPhone 6s Plus, I think this thing is still super perfect for a ton of people, and there's still a lot of great opportunities and still great reasons as to why you should pick up an iPhone 6s Plus in 2020. But more so, when I was looking at the prices of this thing, they've kind of flatlined in the prices. They haven't really depreciated too much this year, if I'm being honest. Of course, when the iPhone 9 or iPhone SE2 comes out, things might change a little bit more. But when I was looking at the prices for this thing, I saw that, on eBay, they're selling for about $120, a little bit less than that. You can probably find them for even cheaper than that if you look hard enough. On Amazon, they're selling for about $150. So either which one of those prices are super, super awesome in my opinion. When you have phones like the Galaxy S20 that are selling for $1,000, the iPhone 11 Pro that are selling for $1,000, it's kind of refreshing to see a phone on the other end of the spectrum that, isn't really, considered a flagship anymore, but was a flagship at the time. And on top of that, it's still supported. It still has a lot going for it. And for a majority of people, I think it fills in like 95% of their needs, to be honest. Now, it's still getting software support, which is really, really nice. And when you have an older phone like this, especially one that came out many, many years ago, the first thing I always think about is, is it still getting software support? When I look at my Android phones, phones like the Galaxy S7 and those phones like that came out in 2016, even after the 6s Plus, phones like that don't even get the next version of Android and don't even match things like the 6s Plus, but this one is still getting software support, which is really, really cool. And the coolest thing about it all is that with that software, you can really be on any version of software and still jailbreak this thing, which is awesome. With that checkra jailbreak, it really adds that much more functionality into a phone like this, and let alone keeping it stock and all that stuff. If you actually jailbreak it, which is super easy to do, I've already done a tutorial on it. If you want to know how to do it, I'll leave a link in the description for that, and I'll also leave a link in the description for an iPhone 6s Plus you can buy on Amazon, so you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. But with that jailbreak, it really just unlocks so much more functionality, and it makes this older phone, like an iPhone 6s Plus that came out in 2015, feel like almost like a flagship kind of type of phone, to be honest. There's so many little tweaks and little things you can add in between that'll really just unlock so many more features. And if you follow the channel, I mean, I recently put out a ton of jailbreak videos on older phones like the 5S and the iPhone 6, and that really kind of changed my opinion on those phones. The fact that they're still kind of supported with software, they're getting those like iOS 12 security updates, but the fact that that jailbreak is there, that really adds a ton of cool features. And at the end of the day, that's one of the best things about the iPhone 6s Plus for sure. So that jailbreak is a really, really cool thing, and people should not sleep on that. That is something that you should do if you are capable of having the 6s Plus, and if you want to unlock the most amount of features between them. Now, like I said, the prices for this thing are like about $120 to $150, and that's really the best thing about this phone. And also, the cost to repair this phone is super cheap, and this is something that I always talk about. When you're having an older phone like this, you tend to spend less money on, random things like, oh, my screen broke, my camera broke, this and that. You can relatively easily fix a majority of issues that you're having on your iPhone 6s Plus just by getting the part on eBay and fixing yourself. And lucky for you, it's super easy to go and fix things yourself on this phone. It doesn't require like 50,000 things and 20 people to help you and whatever. Like, it's fairly easy, and whether you should probably follow a tutorial either way. But Apple kind of made it easy for us back then to kind of replace things. And if you wanted to replace the Touch ID, if your home button's broken, whatever, you have the capability of fixing those things, which is a very, very cool thing about this phone. And speed-wise, performance-wise, it's still pretty good as well. It's definitely not the fastest thing in the world, but it's pretty decent. And anytime I would do speed comparisons or anything between this phone and the newer phones or whatever, for the most part, it would be able to handle it just fine, which is a humongously important thing to think about. And the 6s Plus was the first iPhone to bring 2GB of RAM, and Apple is still selling the iPhone 8 brand new for $449 or whatever, and that one also has 2GB of RAM. So this phone can definitely handle, for the most part, a majority of the things you're going to throw at it. It's definitely not like the fastest thing in the market, but it's good enough, I think, for a majority of people. Now, also, one of the newer things that we've seen is that the iPhone 6s Plus will potentially be getting iOS 14, which is going to be a humongous thing if it actually gets it. So all these reports and everything saying, iOS 13 is going to be pretty much keeping up the same devices as iOS 13, or iOS 14 as iOS 13, except for a couple iPads that are being taken out of the mix, which totally makes sense. I think the iPad Air 2 and the iPad Mini 4, those two iPads are going to be taken out. But all those devices that currently support iOS 13 are going to be there, which is going to be insane, and I cannot wait for that to happen. So that's going to be some crazy stuff whenever that happens. So the iOS 14 update should be coming for the iPhone 6s Plus, which is going to be a humongous update. And so think about it like this: that phone is going to be lasting up until 2021 if it does get iOS 14, because it's going to be ending about like that September era. But if Apple switches to their new layout, how they've been doing it recently, that could potentially mean that it could get an extra year of security updates on top of that, just like we saw with the iPhone 5s and iPhone 6. So think about it like this: if the iPhone 6s gets iOS 14, that'll stay up until 2021, but then if it gets those security updates, that'll keep going until 2022. So that'll be an insane amount of software lifecycle that this phone will have. I mean, you'll be able to get this phone now and still, have updates for like a couple more years, which could be potentially pretty crazy. Even if it doesn't get iOS 14, it still could get security updates later on, and that's some pretty crazy stuff, bro, to be honest. So ultimately, in my opinion, the iPhone 6s Plus is a crazy good device, and the older and older it gets, it just seems like the better and better of a deal it is. It's getting cheaper, we have more functionality with that jailbreak, and the potential of getting iOS 14 is just a crazy cool thing. And even if you get the 6s Plus now, you're not going to feel like you have a super outdated phone, maybe in terms of design, but in terms of everything else, I think it's going to be pretty capable for the most part that you throw at it. So that's really pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well: my Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.